Aging affects, as we said, more than just our face, our neck, our hands. It affects all our skin, but particularly vulva, vaginal skin, which I think is super important in terms for women, is that it impacts our functionality.
Ever feel like you're in a constant competition between your career and your husband's patience? Your kids think you work too hard, but hey, you're doing it all for them, right? The struggle is real, and I've been there too. Moments of feeling like a crappy mom and wife because once again, your kids had breakfast on their way to school, and you've got more important things on your plate than cooking and cleaning. Hey there, working moms who are juggling a million things and still wondering if you're doing it right. I'm Veronica Cisneros, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, a mama of 3, and married for 24 years. Welcome to the Empowered and Unapologetic podcast, where we dive deep into the messy, chaotic, and sometimes hilarious world of mastering motherhood, marriage, and business. I get it. Balancing it all was never the goal, but here we are, trying anyway. I'm here to share my journey and guide you through yours. No more apologies for being driven, and definitely no compromises on your dreams. Together, we'll navigate the challenges of being a powerhouse in both business and family life. Join me as we tackle the uncomfortable conversations from being the breadwinner to changing the rules of what a marriage looks like. Let's figure out how to parent in a working parent household without the constant arguments or guilt. I'm Veronica Cisneros, and this is Empowered and Unapologetic, where we embrace the chaos, challenge the norms, and strive to live life on our own terms. Get ready for some real talk, actionable tips, and a few laughs along the way. Welcome back to the Empowered and Unapologetic podcast. I'm your host, Veronica Cisneros. Today, we're exploring a topic that's vital, yet often overlooked in discussion about women's health and wellness: vaginal rejuvenation. Oh, hell yeah, we're going there. And its implication for personal well-being. Joining us is Lana Kerr, the innovative founder and CEO of Lumisque. Lana has been at the forefront of skincare and wellness since 2006, when she founded Your Fat Loss Coach, which provides custom weight loss and detox plans, nutritional counseling, and support. In 2015, she pioneered a groundbreaking skin rejuvenation method using CO2 Lift, a gel that delivers carbon dioxide for rapid regeneration and anti-aging effects. Not stopping there, Lana also developed CO2 Lift V for vulva and vaginal rejuvenation, enhancing lubrication and sensitivity. Addressing the effects of aging and decreased blood flow in intimate areas. Today, Lana is here to share her insights on the advancements in vaginal rejuvenation, the importance of addressing these issues, and the modern safe treatments available. Let's go ahead and get into this. Understanding these crucial aspects that impact many women are seldom talked about openly. Lana, thank you so much for joining us.
Veronica, I love your energy already. I feel it.
It's happening.
I'm looking forward to this conversation. But
it's totally happening. Okay, so first up, because when you said it to me, I think I'm still processing it.
Yes.
How old are you? Girls, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to guess. But two, the minute she says it, you're going to be like me, like not a chance in hell. Like whatever you're doing, totally want it.
Oh, Veronica, thank you. 53, going to be 54.
Hell no, girl. Hell no. I don't believe it. You look amazing. So whatever you're doing, I want to do. I really love life, like next level love life. And, we were working with our financial advisor, and he's like, okay, well, when do you plan on retiring? And then, he was giving us estimates on when, we're going to die. So we can have our retirement in line with when we're going to die, which sucks. Don't do it. And I'm like, listen, homeboy, I'm going to be 109 with Botox and fillers. I don't even care. It's going to happen. It's totally going to happen. So, could you start by telling us about your journey into the skincare and wellness industry and what inspired you to focus
Oh my
specifically
goodness.
on vaginal rejuvenation?
Most of the things that inspire me actually has to do with needs that I have. So even with the weight loss that I started back in 2005,
Yeah.
it was something that I was looking for in
Yeah.
my life. And I started off, my educational background was in accounting and finance, but I've always really had a passion for wellness. That was just something that I wanted to check off because I've always had I started my first business when I was 14. Both my
Yeah.
parents are professionals, but they're also entrepreneurs. So I've always had that mindset. So, but when at that, so I went back to school, studied nutrition, and then I was still looking like I'm like, how am I ever going to open a business? I look ordinary. I mean, not that I was overly fat. I mean, my size, and people would look at me and think anything was wrong, I guess. But for me, it just didn't, I wasn't standing out. So I started that journey and it was pretty successful. We eventually grew to 10 locations. We've treated over 30,000 people through that program. So that weight loss started. I loved it and I still love it because it changes people's lives. But
Yeah.
then when people start losing weight, then they start to have more interest in their skin and looking better. So I decided to open a med spa
Yeah.
and looking for products that were innovative or treatments that were innovative carboxytherapy came to our attention, which is something that was not being done in the United States. It's something that it has a very old it's a very old protocol or regimen of skin regeneration because it really dates back to the samurai warriors when they would go to battle and then bathe in carbonic hot springs and they would
Oh,
heal pretty quickly. Then
yeah.
fast forward into the 1900s, the French developed a, a way to deliver carbon dioxide through the skin with a tank of gas, put the needle in, and you can see if you Google it, you'll see how people can quickly, it dark spots. I mean, it regenerates the skin.
Wow.
We have a new delivery system which was developed in Japan, which we have the exclusive license to that technology, which is a gel. So when we came upon that, we were pretty excited, and we started using it on the skin. And we started with really dermatologists. Veronica, really just great results. In fact, every time you use carboxy, and we can go into what it is, you improve. So even with my skin, I look better now than I did in my 30s. I mean, I
Yeah.
have dermatologists who will open accounts based on the fact that they knew me when we started, and they're like, Lana, your skin. So that's what
Yeah, girl.
carboxy.
It's like, I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, girl, but whatever you're doing, sign me up. Sign me
It's
up.
really so. And then the vaginal, just to answer your question on that, I started when I was around 47. I started seeing differences in the quality of sexual intimacy, like sexual intercourse, like how quickly I would get to orgasm or not. And then just understanding what happens, to our vulva vaginas. It's something that would continue to impact my
Yeah.
sexual enjoyment. So we looked at what could be the answer. When we found out what the problems were, we looked that CO2 lift carboxy could be a solution, which we investigated, and we've done double blind clinical studies on. We've done 3 so far, and it's just conclusive, along with biopsies. This truly reverses time and gets you back to when you're in your 20s.
That's crazy. Who's conducting these research studies?
So they're doctors. So when we have on our advisory board, we have cosmetic gynecologists. So when I started
Gotcha.
experiencing
So
that,
these are actual gynecologists. This isn't like just a physician,
no,
that's
these are
not specializing in
gynecologists.
these areas. Yeah.
No. These
Yeah.
are people who are, in fact, our last clinical study was primarily conducted by Kimberly Evans, Dr. Evans. Her practice is in Houston, but she speaks throughout the country on vulvovaginal rejuvenation techniques. So
Yeah.
she was one who led this last study, which we included as an indication stress incontinence, because women who were using the CO2 Lift V were saying, "Oh, I could jump and not pee." In fact, for me, I know I didn't even notice that as a benefit until my husband pointed out. Because normally I would, if I'm going to sneeze or if someone gives me a good joke, I would cross my legs because it was just a reflex action, which I wasn't doing. And he was like,
Yeah.
and that's what, so we did another study, which we included that questionnaire to see. And conclusively, all the women. So, and we did a double blind study. So for
How many
your
women were participating in this
50
research
women,
study? 50
we still
women.
saw 50 women, but it's double blind, which is what that means is that the
Yeah.
women don't know what they're getting, if they're
Yeah.
getting the real
The
thing or the
placebo.
placebo,
Mhm.
as well as the investigator doesn't know. So it's double blind to really take the bias out of it. And
Absolutely.
in the study, what we saw is that the women who got the placebo showed no change in sexual function. It's interesting that even with desire and arousal, only the women that got the CO2 Lift showed change in even desire and arousal. And you think even just mind over matter, because
Yeah.
one of our biggest sexual organs is our mind. So you're thinking you're going to get something that's going to do this. It didn't change. Only the women that got the CO2 Lift showed any change in sexual function. So we had change in arousal, desire, lubrication, orgasm, reduction in painful sex, and also in stress incontinence. All the women showed about bladder life control, and it improves so many areas of their life. But the biopsies is what I think is interesting, because that
Mhm.
tissue, when it's examined by a histologist, they're looking at it and that tissue changed completely. I mean, you're looking at, we used women that had vaginal atrophy. They range from 40 to 65.
Mhm.
And that tissue looked like they were young, youthful. You saw the thickness of the epithelium change, just the growth factor, just life. The tissue just looked healthy after only 10 treatments, which was done.
Wow.
10 treatments are done, conducted within 2 weeks. So that was very exciting. But of course, we have, the testimonials of thousands of women, ranging from women who, you're talking about in their 30s, women
Yeah.
who are in their 20s, which was surprising to me, to women who have had breast cancer and their vaginal tissue after chemotherapy is so thin and dry that sex is so painful, to now have back their life. So it's pretty exciting. I mean,
That's
my own testimony
amazing.
in my own marriage, I'm married 27 years. I think one of the things, it has definitely improved our level of intimacy, because sex is actually just so much more fun, and I'm just responsive. I initiate. I think it's a combination of the physiology as
Mhm.
well as in my mind of doing this application, which I do once a month to maintain. It just keeps it top of mind. I know how it's going to feel, so you just approach sex in a very different way. So I'm really happy about that.
I love this. I love this. All right, so right off the bat,
Mhm.
many women are unaware of the effects of aging and decreased blood flow on vulva health. Can you explain these impacts and why they should be a concern? And
Yes.
you've commented on some of it.
So, I think first of all is that we generally look at our face, our neck. That's the areas that we see, and
Yeah.
that's the areas that we can have a picture, and we can look back and we can see those changes very rapidly. But the changes that happen in our vulva vagina, we don't have a snapshot, even of feeling, even
Yeah.
in the sensation that you don't remember until you remember. But aging affects, as we said, more than just our face, our neck, our hands. It affects all our skin, but particularly vulva vaginal skin, which I think is super important in terms for women, is that it impacts our functionality. So what happens, our clitoris, which is our pleasure organ, and I know that your listeners may know this because it's been said in so many different ways, but our clitoris is created solely for the purpose of enjoyment. It has no other function. That clitoris is on our vulva. It requires blood flow to operate optimally. And all of us know that blood flow starts slowing down from the age of around 25. So
Mhm.
what happens is, if it starts slowing down, we don't really notice it. So let's just go to an analogy on the skin. From 25, when we start slowing, you look in the mirror, you don't necessarily see anything. Maybe if you looked with a magnifying glass, you'll see small lines. If those lines go untreated, by the time we're in our 30s, late 30s, you really start seeing them. And then in our 40s, you do.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing down there. We may not notice, but it's slowing down. And that our clitoris starts to atrophy. And it means that it takes a longer time to get engorged, to experience orgasm, right?
Mhm.
That's one area. The other factor is our vaginal tissue. The vaginal tissue is very similar to the skin under our eyes. And we know it is very thin. That actually shows age first. So what happens is that tissue gets thinner and drier, and eventually it leads to painful sex. That's why people may start feeling looser, because CO2 Lift V does not tighten. It doesn't tighten. Tighten, we need muscles, which we don't do. That's why I was telling you about the surgery that I did, which we can talk about. But for the tissue, women will say, oh, I feel like it's tighter. It's just that the tissue is thicker, so that when anything goes in, say a penis, it feels like you can grab it. It's just more, there's more elasticity. It's just more cushion, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that's what the CO2 lift does very effectively. Brings back blood flow. And just to kind of give you an idea, Veronica, what people can visually see, if you have a diabetic ulcer, so a diabetic ulcer, the CO2 lift technology can close a non-healing diabetic ulcer in as little as 8 days. So let's look at, and that's why I actually thought of this for the vulva vagina, because we knew this already. We had done clinical studies on it. What's the problem with diabetics? They have poor circulation, especially in their extremities. So if they get a cut, it's very difficult to heal. So what we can put the gel on this, and we can do that, and it will close it. We've done it now with venous ulcers. I mean, we've whatever ulcer. So when I understand that the problem with circulation and blood flow of that area, I'm like, well, wouldn't this work for there? And that's how I kind of led to this can work for that skin as well, for the tissue as well as the blood flow, which affects our functionality, affects the quality of what we experience when we have sexual intercourse.
I know looking for the right therapist can be challenging. However, feeling overwhelmed and disconnected is even harder. Life is filled with several twists and turns, some more severe than others. We do our best to handle them as they come and find ourselves at a loss, not knowing what to do or who to turn to. The clinicians here at Outside the Norm Counseling are here to help. We are here to assist you through this time of need. Together, we will identify your strengths and goals and teach you healthy coping skills. Together, we will develop a plan to help you live the life you want to live. Our team is compassionate, genuine, and we take a great deal of pride in providing an empathetic, non-judgmental approach to all of our clients. It's time! You've waited long enough, whether it be for you, your child, or if you're in need of a couple session. We are highly trained clinicians ready to guide you. Schedule an appointment now by calling 951-395-3288. Again, that number is 951-395-3288. We're looking forward to meeting you and being a part of your journey.
Are there any side effects? Because I'm thinking about, so it's CO2, and I'm probably going to sound like a complete fool, but I'll volunteer.
Yes, okay.
I can already hear women say, okay, so, CO2, I'm putting this on my clitoris, I'm putting this on my vulva. Is this a cream? Am I being injected with CO2? Like okay. Already being injected. I'm like, okay, listen, unless
this
it's
a gel.
unless it's like a vibrator, I'm not trying to get injected down there.
Right. And so many women do. But the carboxy gel, so carboxy therapy is the therapeutic use of carbon dioxide to regenerate the tissue.
And I will be trying this. I will be trying this, ladies.
Yes, we're going to send it to you.
And they're going to send it to me. I will be trying this, and I will be keeping you guys updated.
However that's delivered, and skin is our largest organ. So you think when we talk about carbonic hot springs, think about magnesium. Let's just use that. When people are magnesium deficient, one of the quickest ways for them to get magnesium into their body is to go into Epsom salt bath, and by sitting it, they're getting it, right? So it's the same thing with carbon dioxide. There are carbonic hot springs. In fact, Japan is famous for them. When they go to the onsens, you can find them. By going into the CO2, it's penetrating, it goes in. Once CO2 goes into the body, a very natural process takes place. The hemoglobin unloads oxygen and picks up the CO2. So you think about unloading oxygen in the area. So think of a hyperbaric oxygen therapy. That's what you're getting when you get CO2. It's like a hyperbaric oxygen in a box, because you putting CO2 immediately, the body is going to exchange it. So that's why you're getting an increase in blood supply and increase in oxygen, whichever area is applied. So you have the springs, then you have the injections, which is not what we use. We
Yeah.
use a gel. So when you
Gotcha.
combine these two gels together, you actually create CO2. It's very painless. In fact, it's very cooling, a very comfortable treatment, which can
Okay.
go. You'll see when people go to Instagram, they'll see it applied to their face. Their plastic surgeons are using it on breasts. They're using it on when they do a lipo on the neck. When they do when you do a tummy tuck.
Mm-hmm.
When you do C-section, that scar, you can put it on. It's going to help to heal it
Oh, I
very
have.
quickly.
I've had 3 C-sections. Yeah, I'm putting it everywhere, girlfriend.
That's where you would apply. When they do, many gynecologists who know this, they will put it on. They'll tell the woman to use a CO2 Lift before giving vaginal birth to prevent tearing. And if
Oh,
they
wow.
did tear, they would can help heal it with the CO2 Lift. So it's in terms of contraindications, there's none. It's a very benign treatment. There's nothing to concern yourself. Like some women with the vaginal, they're like, "Will I get a yeast infection?" The difference with the CO2 lift for the face and body and the one for the vaginal is the pH. Our pH is 4 to 4.5, which is
Yeah.
ideal pH for the vagina. So what you find, even women who are experiencing a lot of infections will use CO2 lift and they're not getting BV anymore, which is very
Oh,
common
nice.
for women in their 30s and 40s. They get, because their body's changing, they're prone to get this BV. So this, by doing this on a regular basis monthly, they actually prevent it, or doing it right after their period to kind of rebalance the pH there. Or maybe some women after sex, they use it to kind of help to stabilize their
Oh,
their
wow.
their, their body. But it's not a lube, it's a treatment that you'll do 10 treatments typically over 2 weeks, and then you maintain it with monthly treatments.
Okay. Okay. So, how does this compare with um I want to say traditional, but I also like I'm thinking obviously I'm not putting retinol on my clitoris or my vulva, right? Like that's just
Right.
not
No,
happening.
this is
But
just
I
carbon dioxide.
Yeah, so okay, so my normal regimen is I'll put I do the red light and then
Mhm.
I'll do I've been doing red light, but I wish I was doing it every day. I'm trying to get it to it's 20 minutes. And by that
Mhm.
time I'm asleep and I'm like I need somebody to wake me up. It's a whole thing. Anyway, so I'll wash my face, put the red light on, mask on, and then after the red light mask on, then I'll do retinol.
Mhm.
And then if I remember, I'll go ahead and put moisture because I think after retinol, you're 20 minutes later, you're supposed to put moisture on, and then I'm crashed out. That's as far as I go. So what
Yeah.
is this? What is your, you know what? Let's just get to it. What is your nightly routine? Girl, I'm going to tell you right now because I want it for me. I want it for
Yes,
me.
yes.
And for,
Well,
of course, I'm thinking about you ladies too, duh. But like, listen, I'm 45, girlfriend. You look good. I'm like, shit, I don't know where you're at, but I'm going to fly to where you're at. I'm going to spend a whole goddamn day with you. I'm going to figure this shit out. Let's do it.
it's so funny, Veronica. Oh, so
So,
the treatment, the CO2 lift, let's talk about the face.
yeah,
We call it, we in one of our, we have invested, by the way, in many clinical studies to understand what's happening under the skin. Okay,
yeah,
so as a standalone treatment, CO2 lift after 6 treatments, we call it like a skin reboot. What it does,
okay,
so 6 treatments within a month. If someone was starting, I would say, you want a skin reboot, 6 treatments.
yeah,
What's going to happen? So it's applied. You wash your face, you
yeah,
put the gel on, you leave it on for 45 minutes and peel it off, and then you do your night routine.
yeah.
But it's so you do 6 treatments. It's not something you do every day. In
So
that,
no retinol, no red light, or what does this look
yes.
like?
So say you're doing the
Okay.
treatment. So you do 6. So I don't need to do 6 because I just do.
Okay, you
I
don't need to
made
brag anymore, Lana. We get it. You look good, girl.
okay, okay. I do it really. I do it every 2 weeks. I do a
Okay.
CO2 lift, and the
Okay.
reason why I've upped it from once a month to 2 weeks, sometimes even a week, is because I have vitiligo now, and I can't use any energy on my skin. So I do
Gotcha.
it regularly to keep everything. But after 6 treatments, Veronica, you're experiencing 26% increase in elasticity. You're experiencing, which is big, by the way. There's
Yeah.
nothing on the
Yeah.
market that does 26% increase in elasticity. You can do microneedling, RF microneedling, and even after 3, 4 months, you're not seeing that big of a change immediately. Okay.
Yeah.
So in a month, 26, that's huge. Also, double-digit improvement in all the skin markers, luminosity, radiance, reduction in fine lines. But I think one of the biggest numbers is the hydration factor, because we don't get old, we dry up. So if you think about a raisin and a grape,
You guys, you hear that? We don't get old, we dry up.
it's,
It's
yeah,
true
isn't it?
though. It's
It's
so
true.
true. It sucks.
Yes.
Dang it.
So I like to think about raisin. We're born this grape, this beautiful, bouncy, like a
Yes.
grape.
I
And
miss
then we
being a
turn into this
grape.
raisin.
I'm
Well,
starting
you
to turn
still
into
got
a
the
raisin. Damn it.
yes. What's the difference? It's the water content. But we
Mm,
fortunately have technology that slows that process down. So you can do all the fillers and Botox, but what
yeah.
about your skin quality? That's very different.
Yes,
Skin
1000%.
quality, you still can have leather looking skin and be tight leather.
Yeah.
You want to have the all of what I mentioned is skin quality, which is even with the reduction of you don't see you so fillers can give, which is another topic for me. But we work with dermatologists, so obviously I the Botox, which I do toxins, you still need skin quality. That's such a
Yes.
different
You
thing.
do. You do.
Botox does not get rid of all fine lines because you can't place it everywhere. So
No.
what are you going to use? This does it very effectively. So that's after 6 treatments, a woman can maintain that by doing a monthly treatment. So your regimen, it has nothing to do with your nightly regimen. Now we do have other products, like we have a carboxy mousse, which I use morning and night, which is part of my regimen. So I do like you. When I at my nighttime regimen, of course, I clean my skin. After I clean my skin, I like I use oh my god,
Give
no,
us
it's a
all of it,
secret.
girl. I want
I
all of
know.
it. I want all the secrets. All the
I
secrets.
So I use which now I'm just if I knew this, it's a spray, but it's more than just it's something that gets me. It's a anti-aging type thing, which I'll tell you after.
Okay.
I'll send it to you after. It's
Hell yeah.
it's in my thing. But I spray that. Then after that, I use a retinol. I
Yeah.
use an HA, and I use my carboxy mousse moisturizer. That's what I
Okay.
do every
Every
night. I
night.
never not do every night. I do it.
Yeah.
In the morning when I make up, I don't wash my face in the morning because my face is clean. I use a warm towel and I wipe my skin, and I do the same thing, but I don't use a retinol.
Yeah.
I'll use HA. I use my HA. I use my and my mousse, and then of course sunscreen. So that's what I do. And I don't use a special eye gel. I like my HA and my mousse. I use it in that same
What
area,
is
and it's
AJ? Are you saying
HA.
AJ?
HA, like so we have a product called Defend, which is and I use Glow. I use a facial oil. I use
Okay.
a facial oil. I use a facial oil at night, but the HA hyaluronic acid serum.
Hyaluronic acid. So that
Yeah.
you use in the morning.
I use that. I use that in the morning and at night. I use it twice.
After or before your retinol?
I use my retinol first. I put that on first, and then I put everything else on. And then I will
Okay.
use my Glow. It's a facial oil. I use my facial oil not only on my face and my neck, my hands. I use it on my vulva because when I come
Yeah.
out, so I use that every day. It keeps that skin soft and supple.
Okay. Oh, I love it. All right. There you go, you guys. All
Yes.
right. Can you discuss the safety and efficacy of modern vaginal rejuvenation treatments?
So what are the options out there? So
Yeah.
we have, this our CO2 Lift is considered a vulva vaginal rejuvenation. And we have to say vulva vaginal because not all treatments work on the vulva. They may just work on the vagina. And remember, we
Gotcha.
said it's two different things. One is
Yeah.
blood flow and one is inside the tissue. But there are other treatments that you can use. There are radio frequency devices. There are laser devices. You can go to a doctor's office and they're going to do control damage to the tissue, which will then bring blood flow to the area and it will regenerate that tissue. So it's just another solution. Some do it in combination. I have experienced them because of in the business, and of course, one of the treatments that we work very nicely with too is InMode. Most people know Morpheus, but InMode has a device, a handpiece for they call it the Empower platform for vaginal rejuvenation. It's really micro needling, so it's RF micro needling. So there's some discomfort in there, but why I had to use it. One of the early adopters of Morpheus V. She is a gynecologist, but she has a med spa that she was using the CO2 lift with Morpheus for the face. It helps to decrease any discomfort, also to help healing. She's tried it with the V. And
Mm,
what she found was after doing all those pulses in your vulva, on your vulva vagina, there was no swelling. If she pre-treated with the CO2 Lift V and then she puts one in after the procedure so the woman can get back to herself quickly. So what happened is after she did this, she's like, Lana, I want to invite some of the trainers and I want you to be a part of it. So can we do this to you? So I volunteered my vulva vagina for
Thank you.
science.
Thank you for your
And
service.
and what I found was it was I don't know how it would feel without the CO2 Lift V, but with the CO2 Lift V, I felt like maybe 3 stapler pricks, which and then after that, I
I'm
didn't
all-
really. I know, but again, then she put the CO2 lift in after again, and I could ride a horse the next day. And what I'm saying is, there was my healing was very quick.
we know what you mean, Lana.
Yeah, okay. My husband Terry would love to hear that analogy. Oh, a horse. But anyway, so yeah, so you can use it in combination with other treatments.
Gotcha.
But no, when people think of vaginal rejuvenation, many people think immediately of surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Surgery is
That's where
really,
I
I
was
don't,
going.
right. Surgically, I don't think, surgically, they can't really do anything for tissue. They can do something for your muscle. So
Mm.
surgically, think of a labiaplasty. So people want to change the look of it. I've seen so many vagina vulvas, all of them are different. And it's I think all are beautiful because if it
Yeah.
functions, right? But
Yeah.
people may have hangups on their labia or for maybe two, and they will change it.
Gotcha.
I recently did a vaginoplasty. So we have a labiaplasty, which is on the outside. I did a vaginoplasty. What is that? That's when they affect the muscle. Because remember, there's no other treatment that can change the muscle. I don't
Yeah.
care how much, it's like a facelift. You know, you can do all of this radio frequency. It's not going to bring your skin up if it's
Yeah.
falling. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
a vaginoplasty does that. It
Mm.
basically changes the angle of your vagina and then it tightens it. So it's like
Nice.
think of like uh what you call a garter, not a garter belt. What you know those things that
Spanx.
people, yes,
Spanx. Oh,
Spanx
yeah. Spanx.
or the pulling. You
Sucking
know
it
what I
all
mean?
in. Mm-hmm.
That's what I did. So
Okay.
I did that. Actually, it's now this week will be 8 weeks. I did it, and what I would I recommend this? So this is for muscle tightening. So I am just starting to use it again
Mm-hmm.
because it gets so small. You actually it's like a verge. You have to kind of open it up again, which is can be fun,
Girl,
kind of
how's
do.
sex? My first question is how's sex?
I know. So we haven't fully gotten Terry's penis inside yet,
Ah,
but it's what we have because I've
sorry,
advanced
Terry.
in. Yeah. So he's like, look,
Sorry,
we
Terry.
did it. We finally went it a little. He's like, he's getting better because
Yeah.
it has to open up. So,
Gotcha.
but I can tell you from my point of view, having even fingers or anything, it's just different.
Yeah.
It feels really good. I cannot wait to actually get the full force of what he's going to bring to me.
Yeah.
But it's a process. I'll just tell you, ladies, because when you heal, typically it's 8 weeks of healing, and then you have to start this process of what they call softening.
Yeah.
Healed because of the CO2 Lift. I healed in 5 weeks. I had no swelling, no discomfort. And then I could start that process of
Gotcha.
getting just a step up. Depending on the size of your guy, you step up to that size.
Oh,
You
okay.
understand? And
Nice.
then you're kind of good,
Then you're
to
good to
go.
go. Let it happen.
Yeah, let
For
it go.
for our listeners who might be considering these types of treatments, what advice would you give them about choosing the right product or service?
Okay. So self-servingly, I'm going to say that the CO2 Lift V would be my first option. Why? Because first of all, it's something you do in the privacy of your home.
Yeah.
If you're interested in more lubrication, I mean, I'm talking about sustained lubrication after 3 hours of sex, like
Yeah.
lubrication like that.
Yeah.
If you're interested in, if you're getting painful sex, if you're getting where it aging, I, any woman, just like we talk about starting early in the skin, start early down there. I feel like women should start in their 20s to start reconditioning that skin. So
Mm,
the CO2 Lift V to me is a natural way to go because it's the least expensive. Again, it's something you do in the privacy of your home. There's no pain involved, and you can see
yeah.
the results immediately. Your partner will see the results. I would start with that.
Okay. Who is
Then,
actually who should oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
yes, who actually?
Yeah, who actually should be considering these treatments?
a woman, if you're having your period, I mean, I know that there's some gynecologists who refer this for even painful periods. So women who are not even necessarily sexually active. So it's, I mean,
Okay.
we're talking about sex here, but it's more about health. There are some women
Gotcha.
who, even trying to get pregnant because of, again, you
Mm.
think it's oxygen down there. I've had some really great stories. Now, again, they're anecdotal, but they're women who have even tried to do embryos. They're not they're not carrying the embryo, and they're it's because and then when they change to the CO2 Lift, they're able to sustain a pregnancy.
Wow.
So and it's like, how do we prove this? The only thing we're hearing this from gynecologists, they're saying, Lana, the only thing they can think of, it's blood flow. Blood flow is necessary for anything, and that's what you're doing when you do the CO2 Lift. So who should use it? If I had a daughter, I have two sons, I would have her use it from the time she's in her 20s. I would start that, unless she had painful periods before, then I would give her before.
Yeah.
But women who are sexually active should use this, I feel. Um, it's, again, you're preventing aging.
Yeah.
There was a great meeting that I had gone to where dermatologists were showing twins who identical twins. One twin started taking care of her skin from in her early 20s. The other twin didn't went to the same dermatologist. She didn't start until her 40s. Now both of them look great, but I tell you, the twin that started early looks a good 10 to 15 years younger than her sister.
Damn.
So
Damn.
it's not just because, remember, it's not just the absence of wrinkles. It's just the quality of
The
skin.
quality.
You can't
Gotcha.
even really put a description on what makes someone look youthful, but it's
Yeah.
something in your, that's the difference. So with vulvovaginal skin, I say start early so that
Hmm.
you don't have to go through reversing, because that's harder.
Yeah.
It's, if you can maintain, then I would say to start that.
Okay.
So I would say, I would tell my friend, my daughter, if I had one, start early with that. And then you don't have to do as much. Then you just maintain it with, once a month you do something for your vulva vagina.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Looking forward, what new developments or goals do you have for Lumisque and the field of women's wellness?
We're coming out with some other stuff for more, not necessarily for the vaginal. I think for us as a company, our focus in the next 5 years is still education. Education, because for one thing, even in terms of the vulva vaginal line, one of the biggest challenges is we've had as a company is just the fact that women don't talk about it. So I'm so grateful for platforms like yourself that are just bringing awareness and attention to this. Women
Yeah.
just don't think that anything happens to their vagina. It's fine. It's not broke. Why fix it?
Yeah.
However, it does affect our quality of life. And it's seen from the statistics of so many
Yeah.
women by the time they're 50, 60, they're not interested in sex. Why? Because you might as well hit my elbow. There's no
Yeah.
feeling. It's hurtful, painful. What are we doing? So it's
Wow.
almost like a job. So I think that one is education. It needs to happen. And that takes time for women. And I definitely see a difference now versus just even 2, 3 years ago. So
Yeah.
education is a big part of us helping women. And then carboxy is another way people are not familiar with it. So for our next 5 years, our focus is still on education and penetration of the market. Yes, we're going to come up with other things that's going to help, anecdotal things, like we're coming up with something for, boric acid. People use it all the time. We're having our own. We're coming up with that. But really, it's for the carboxy line. We have really the carboxy is like hyperbaric. It can be used for so many different things. There's no need to create a tweak in it. It's just great as it is for so many different areas of our body.
Yeah.
Just use it. So it's really, education is our focus.
Love it. Love it. Lana, thank you so much for shedding light on such an important yet often taboo topic, providing our listeners with valuable knowledge and empowering them to take control of their health in all aspects of life. How can they follow you?
Okay. So I have my personal Instagram at the Lana Kerr, and people can feel free to DM me. I'm very good at responding. Our main Instagram is at CO2 Lift, and then we have at CO2 Lift V. But if
Nice.
people are interested in information, they can
Yes.
always DM. We're very good at responding. I mentioned to you before that we would love to give you guys a discount for you guys to try
Mm-hmm.
it. They would go to co2lift.com, and whenever they're in their checkout, they would put on Veronica 10 to receive 10% off anything on the site.
I'm excited. Lana, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.